right, starting off here with week 16 prep. You're going to see week 16 through 17 and through 18 prep. A lot of familiar things. The key here is that we get a lot of tempo in everything we're doing, so they should be recognizable. Starting off here with a power band hamstring, like we've done before. We'll go static middle. That down quad is tight to keep that flat. Then we'll go inside. We'll move it inside, keeping everything else neutral. The down leg, the left leg stays in the same position. The lumbar stays in the same position down low. Then we'll go outside. Again, keeping everything neutral with the back and with the down leg quad. And we'll bring it down the middle for dynamic movement. Remember, you're holding the statics, upwards to 10 seconds, and you'll hit the dynamic for about 10 seconds as well. Once you finish that, we're going to go to the seated 90-90 for hip external rotation. In this case right here, we're using an 18-inch box. This is where we'll have a big chest here. We're going to push that knee down there, get external rotation to the hip, and that'd be a static hold you'd perform on each hip. Once you complete that, we'll go to the wall pec. And for that, you want to find a doorway, a wall, anything that you can do here just to get length on the pec. In this case right here, we're setting that shoulder and elbow at 90 and just turn it out to get a good stretch on the pec. And of course, that's another static hold that you'll hold for about 10 seconds on each side. Next, you'll move on to the ankle mobility. We'll go back over here for the multiplanar wall mob, and we'll just use the wall. Reminder, you've been here before several times. Hopefully you're gaining range of motion with your ankle. We'll go down the middle, usually for a rep count of about 5 or so. Then we'll go in. I'll take a different angle here. You see the ankle moving in. Then we'll go out for range of motion as well. Once you finish with the ankle, you'll take a plate for your driver. We'll go single leg deadlift for hip mobility. Again, we've been here before. Here's just an example using for the left hip. There's down the middle, pulling through the top. Good length there, watching the hip flex, extend and squeeze through. Once you perform that on both sides for your rep count, we'll go to internal rotation of the hip with a windshield wiper. So this is the one where we're on our chest. And remember, the more you throw, the more you'll lose internal rotation on that lead hip. So be very conscious of that and trying to get some symmetry between those two hips, keeping the knees together and separating the feet. After the windshield wiper, we'll go to a new thoracic mobility drill. We call it the half kneeling windmill. So the checkpoints here for this one, since this is a new one, let me talk about that. In this case right here, the left knee is up, the right knee is down, the right glute is tight, the core is tight. There's our thoracic rotation. While holding extension, notice the belly button stays forward while we separate the shoulders from the hips. And of course, on the other side, if we were to switch knees, same fundamentals here, just in this case right here, the left glute's tight, the core is tight, belly button forward, the shoulders turn as the head leads the movement on that thoracic rotation. Now for our activation segment, we'll lead off with the hand ladder. We'll use an Icky shuffle pattern here for the hand ladder. So what we're doing here is we turn on shoulder and core stabilizers here, using an Icky shuffle pattern just with your upper body. And of course, we'd go all the way down and we'd bring it back. Again, you might set that on a clock. I usually set our guys on a clock for about 20 to 25 seconds, and they just keep working the clock, keep working the pattern until the clock runs out. Next, the dumbbell 90-degree external rotation and abduction. We can actually go to the wall for this one. We'll grab that 10-pound plate. We're going to set the shoulder and the elbow at 90. The scap is set. And then we're working on that external rotation there, keeping everything in position as we work externally here. All right, good. You can set that on a clock or a rep count. Next, we'll move on to the multiplanar deceleration jump. So we got about a 30-inch box right here. If you don't have 30 inches, you just use what you got. You can jump off a little higher, working here, which we've done before early in the training season. Just reminding the body how to absorb force. That was a linear. Here's a lateral going down to the left. Remember, the softer the better, making sure that you're landing with your hips back. Here's one to the right. Your core is stable as you decelerate down. Again, softer the better while the core stabilizes while the hips flex. And then finally, your movement part is a quick foot karaoke to reaction go. So we'll just do it right here. Remember, he would be reacting to me with a quick foot pattern. And when I say go, he would sprint opposite about 10 yards, okay? And that concludes the week 16 prep. As we move on to week 17, we're going to start in the half kneeling wall quad, which we can just go on the wall here. We've done this one before. Remember, the the details on this one. We're trying to get that back knee as close as we can to the wall to get length on the quad. You want that right glute real tight, chest is big, and where this is a static hold here, you don't want to compromise posture here, but you want to get as close as you can. You hold that for about 10 seconds and then switch. Before moving on now to the squat, just stand a little bit more dynamic work here. Let me remind you what we're looking at here. We're looking at ankle and hip flexion with thoracic extension up top. There's some dynamic flexibility going on in the hamstring, trying to work to get your hips back, your chest up, staying through the heels. Good depth at the bottom. Always make sure that their chest gets up at the bottom if they can get there. Next, we'll move on to the wall lat, which we'll go back over here to the goal post. Probably could use a wall here just fine. We'll put the elbow back up here. We'll grab the scap on that right side and pull it down and just drive that down. There's that range of motion we're looking for in the shoulder. That's a static hold that you're going to work on for about 10 seconds on each side. Next, we'll move on to ankle mobility. As we come back over to the wall, and we'll go to a rotational ankle sweep, and we get some added dynamic flexibility out of the groin here. The key there is what's happening at that down foot with the heel down, getting rotational movement through the ankle, and you'll perform that on both sides. Next, we'll go to the driver lunge. As we grab a plate, we'll go to the raise on the linears and the press on the laterals and diagonals as you've done before. So right here, here's a linear raise right, a linear raise left, a lateral press right, lateral press left. Good fundamentals there. Diagonal press right, diagonal press left. Now usually I'm going to hit at least 5 rep counts on each leg, each direction, and you can mix up which pattern you hit at which time. Next we'll go to hip rotation as we go on the floor, knee to knee on the back. Feet are spread, and we're going to drive our knees together, again forcing internal rotation at that hip. Again, once again, being very conscious of your throwers, that lead hip. We want to keep symmetry between those two knees coming in. So if I'm a right-handed pitcher, I want to make sure that left hip is maintaining good internal rotation. Otherwise, if that internal rotation is cut down, it's going to put more stress on my arm. Next, as we go to the T-spine, we're going to hit the Spider-Man reach. So in this case right here, we'll take the left leg forward at about 11 o'clock. We'll lock in the shift position. There's thoracic extension to start with, and then there's the rotation up top with the hip staying forward. And of course, you would hit your rep count on both sides. Next, we go to activation. We'll go back to the hand ladder. This time it'll be a lateral buzzsaw pattern. Lateral buzzsaw pattern going on the side here. On the side, we'll go in and out pattern. Again, working on a lot of the plank fundamentals there, in and out. You'd run your clock, and of course you'd end up going back to your right while holding a good plank there with the core, the glutes, and the shoulder stabilizers being active. Next, we'll go to the sideline 10-degree external rotation, as we'll grab a dumbbell here. And we're going to put the hand, this is, if you have time for both arms, that's great. If you just have the throwing side, that's fine too. Creating 10 degrees angle there for the shoulder to work through external rotation. You can work that off a clock or a rep count. Next, we'll go back to the ladder. This will be a foot ladder pattern, working the crossover. Very focusing on good hip rotation. There's the crossover pattern. Just for activation, we can work in reverse. Good, and we can also use, the cross under pattern. Cross under, and we can throw that in reverse as well. All right, good. So we've got that for activation, and we'll finish off week 17 prep with a power karaoke to a reaction go. Power karaoke to a reaction go. Again, he'd be reading me here. Power karaoke with the exaggerated backside. And go. Good. Again, the main difference there, the quick foot, is just that. Focusing on quick feet. There's not much hip flexion. The power karaoke, there's a lot more hip flexion on that backside as it's exaggerated.